I can't see everybody's face, but welcome to today's coaching call. And thank you, Barb, for asking me to be on it. And when she asked me, I was like, you know what? I miss everybody. I only gotten to meet some of you when I interviewed you and we hired you, and then I haven't seen you since. And that's so unnormal or unusual for the way that we work at Keller Williams. Usually, once I hire you, I see you in here all the time and we get to build relationships. And that hasn't happened the way that I like it to happen. But hopefully, we're going in that right direction. So, thanks for having me on today, Barb. And today's topic is going to be E to P. So we have 6 personal perspectives. One of them is E to P, and that is entrepreneurial. So I want to ask you if you all have, so it has to do with time blocking as well, but if you all have this time in your day, so if you have all of this time in your day, time blocked, right? How do you make sure that everything happens? So that's a question I want you to think about. And we're going to go through some things and then we're going to go back to that question. Okay. But entrepreneurial, what does that mean to you? Who wants to go? What does entrepreneurial mean to you? You're muted, Karen.
You're muted, Karen.
You guys can unmute yourself. This is, we're going to be talking to each other, so you can unmute.
Yeah, if there's background noise, mute yourself if you're not talking, but unmute to answer.
There we go. Better?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess to me, entrepreneur would be, you're starting out in your business, finding new ways to do things, different ways that'll work, trying to think of different, like for example, just negotiating an offer, just trying to come up with different ideas to get the deal. So that's basically, I guess, what it would mean to me.
Okay. Anybody else? What does entrepreneurial mean to you? Yes, Suzanne.
Responsibility.
Because,
well, I know KW is the most amazing support organization in the world. It's still all up to you.
Okay.
You can get all the support you want, but if you don't actually use it, it's might as well not be there.
Okay.
But it is. Yay.
Good. I love it. I love it. Anybody else? So if we're going to be talking about E to P, entrepreneurial to purposeful, what does purposeful mean then to you?
Can everybody hear me? I'm sorry, I'm walking the dog, but I'm going to try to talk. Purposeful, I think for me at least, is to has a lot to do with planning, has a lot to do with just trying to, entrepreneurial gives you the opportunity, but purposeful kind of makes you, I guess it does come back to Sue's responsibility, kind of puts you in the position where you have to now, make it work.
Okay, great. So what if I told you entrepreneurial is doing things that come naturally? That's what entrepreneurial is. It's a spirit, right? It's doing things that come naturally. And purposeful is doing things that come unnatural. Think about that. Entrepreneurial. Oh, I have this great idea. I'm going to do it because it's easy for me. And this is the way I'm going to do it because this is how I do things. And this is just all, great. This is easy. I can do this. And then you hit a ceiling, right? Because we're entrepreneurial. And then we go backwards and we come up with another idea and we think, great, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it this way because I'm really good at it. So for example, scripts is something that does not come natural to a lot of people, right? It's very unnatural. So that would be purposeful to learn your scripts. That's how we become more purposeful. But it's not normally a natural thing. Like not everybody's born with that, gift of really being able to handle objections without studying scripts. Some people have that gift. They can handle any objection and they didn't even ever practice a script, but that's very far and few between, right? So then the purposeful part of scripts is I'm going to practice them and then I'm going to use them when I need them, which is the unnatural part of the E to P. So I have a little video. I'm going to try to share this. So bear with me because me and technology. Where is my little video? I have everything on here but the video. So let me see. I'm going to try this. How about if I do this and try to share that? Okay, great. Here we go. I'm going to share this, and I want you, while you're watching it, I want you to write down some things. It's only a 2.5-minute video. I want you to write down some things that come to mind when you're watching this video. Okay. So. All right. Can you see it?
Yep.
Let's go. All right. Here we go. So I want you to write down some things.
Hi. That's what you've lost it.
I've experienced
You can't say it?
It's your Facebook page now.
to P.
Wait a minute.
Entrepreneurial to purposeful. And I want to share a personal story with you about
There you
how
go.
that happened in
Got
my
it.
own career. As I entered the real estate field, I began to lead generate. And in my lead generation process, I just kind of winged it. That's what I call E. I was not purposeful. I lead generated when it was convenient. I lead generated when I was around familiar faces. I lead generated when I was in a familiar environment. And guess what? My results reflected the haphazardness of that lead generation. When I became purposeful, my results showed that purposefulness. As I looked to pick up the phone and make those calls, and I blocked time for my lead generation, my appointments went up. When my appointments went up, my actual results reflected those appointments. So I know in my own life, just through lead generating and knowing when I was in E versus when I was in P, that my results were different when I became a purposeful lead generator. And I know that can happen for you. So let me share with you 5 quick concepts that really helped me move from E to P. Number 1, focus. Focus on that 20%. Number 2, create strategies and action items that will support you staying in that focused 20%. Number 3, follow the model. The next item would be to install and implement the systems. Implement systems that support the model. And finally, number 5, be accountable. Make sure that you're tracking and you're looking at, as I was, the entrepreneurial piece versus the purposeful piece. So if you are willing to embrace these 5 quick concepts that I just shared with you, your world can change just like mine has. Are you willing to move from entrepreneurial to purposeful?
Okay. So did you feel, wait, where are you guys? Hold on.
We have
Stop.
your Facebook page again. There you go.
So tell me what you wrote down. This is very interactive, so everybody has to give me something. Tell me what you wrote down when you watched that.
I wrote down
the 5
intentional.
points.
I'm sorry, John, we'll go with you first, John.
I wrote down intentional.
Intentional, excellent. How about you, Karen?
I just think the 20%, that's important.
20%, absolutely. Suzanne,
Be accountable.
accountable, that's huge. Anita,
Implement the system.
put the systems in place, absolutely. Amber,
I wrote down being accountable and the system piece.
that's great, both of them. And Maria, or Mariella, what did you write down?
I think that's the best one.
I'm sorry?
Accountable. That's the best one.
Can you say that closer to your mic?
You know what?
I'm on my phone. I probably have bad signal.
That's okay, now I can hear you.
Okay, I said accountability. That's something I need to work on.
Okay. Well, it's great that we're all recognizing that. So that's the first step, right? So that's great. Peggy, what did you write down? You're on mute, Peg.
Hey, she's at work, so she may be.
Oh, okay, no problem. And how about you, Lar?
I think it's the systems and models for me as well.
Systems and models. Okay, great. So some of the things I wrote down, winging it, entrepreneurial, right? When things are convenient. So I thought they were really good words to define entrepreneurial as well. We do it when it's convenient. We'll let anything else get in the way of doing the things we're not comfortable doing, right? And yet we all want to make money, and we all want that money to go to good things, whether it's to help other people, whether it's to build a great life for ourselves, for our children, for our grandchildren, nieces and nephews, right? Whatever that may look like. Sometimes we don't really think about, hey, I have to be consistent and committed to what I want to do in order to make the money that I want to make so that I can do the things that I want to do. And it really is that simple. The activities if you don't do the activities, the results will never come, right? So it's being committed. And that's where we become purposeful. Being committed sometimes to a schedule that we're really not thrilled about is not comfortable, right? So there we are, we're not comfortable. But those that will say, no matter what, I'll take an hour every single morning and I'm going to reach out to X amount of people. Now, there is no right or wrong system and model for you. There's models and systems that are out there, and you may look at them and say, realistically, MREA, I'm never going to call 3 hours a day. Well, that's okay, because that's what the millionaire real estate agent is doing. They're netting $1 million. That may not be your purpose or your goal, and that is okay, believe me. But you may want to make 100,000. So what does that look like then? Does that look like 1 hour of calling every day? Or does that just look like, hey, I need to make 10 contacts a day? And if you can do that in 20 minutes, awesome. And if it takes you an hour, okay, that's okay too. But that should always be time blocked, and that should be your commitment, because if you do that, then you are going to get the results. So Karen, I'm going to call you out a little bit today because we had a little conversation. You were telling me something and I was so excited for you. And a lot of you have heard me say before, and I'm sure you've heard Barb say it, real estate, it's sales in general. It happens very slowly, right? And then gradually, and then suddenly we're really busy. So Karen, talk about what you were telling us this morning about how you finally got a buyer under contract after so many. Go ahead.
Yes, I did. I did. And then all of a sudden, this particular deal, I wrote 7 offers and lost them. But I have 2 other buyers now that I'm working with, and I have a meeting tonight to sign another one and one tomorrow night to sign another one. And I just picked up a rental too from Facebook community page that I'm on. So now it's like the floodgates have opened, and it's but I'm not complaining.
So now what's going to help you the best is to have a system in place now, a system for when am I going to be able to communicate with my buyers, look for properties for my buyers, and not compromise on your lead generation. Because once what we do is we start getting busy, which is awesome. And then we put all our focus into that busyness, right? And we forget this stuff that's not comfortable. We forget the purposeful things and we don't do them, and we get busy. And then those buyers either go under contract and we make settlement, or they don't get whatever they're looking for. Right. And then we have to start all over again. Well, if you are purposeful and being held accountable to your daily 10 10
conversations, 10 contacts,
and
10 no cards, and 10
if you would just take that and say, I am committed to that every single morning, and then you have still plenty of time in the afternoon to say, okay, I'm time blocking an hour for Bright to do searches for my buyers and set appointments for them. I'm scheduling these times, during whatever you have time blocked for showings. But we tend to forget about the stuff that's important in the morning, the uncomfortable stuff. And that's where, if you really want to become purposeful, you have to say, okay, I know this is on my calendar and I really need to be committed to that, because that's what's going to help me. So now with your buyers, you need to look at your calendar and really time block time for buyers. And that's not going to be first thing in the morning, because that's when we lead gen, right?
Well, that's what I do. I've committed to go on Power Hour every morning, and that way I have that routine set up, and it's helped me so much to organize my day. So that's just what I've done, and it's really helped me tremendously. So anybody, I would strongly urge doing Power Hour.
I love it.
If you want to get in a routine.
That's right. So I was just going to say, you've developed a habit now, right? So you're in that habit of doing that. And I'm going to ask you to stay committed to that, so that when you get busy, you don't feel like you have to let that piece go, because that's the very piece that's going to keep you going. and build your real estate career. So
Right.
I love that. Okay, so for Purposeful, I wrote down block time, appointments. When she did block her time out for a lead gen, her appointments went up, and then her results reflected her appointments going up. So again, it's when we look at the real estate millionaire real estate agent book, it talks, there's a lead gen model in there. You should all know that lead gen model. Now, they're going to talk about 3 hours of lead gen a day. You don't have to do 3 hours lead gen. Scale it down to what you want to do, but commit to that. And if you commit to something and do it really well, those results are going to be there. And if you want to grow, you'll just add to what you're already in the habit of doing. So if you do an hour and you're able to make $100,000 or $150,000, and you say, hey, you know what, I'm liking this, I want to go up to 200,000, you add another half hour and see if you get the results from that. But you keep that time blocked there. So I thought that's what I picked. And then the 5 strategies I thought were great. So focus. Are you focused on your business? Is it important enough to you that you will focus on your business? And what does that look like, right? And then create strategies. And that's just really simple of what does your day look like and where are you time blocking for the important things that we have to do in real estate. And then follow a model, which is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, guys. There's 4 models in there. All 4 of them. If I were you, I would read them. You don't have to read the whole book over and over again. Read the 4 models. They're only 8 to 10 pages each. Read those models and understand them. And the more you do, the better you're going to get at that. And then put your systems in place. So Karen, I'm going to pick on you again today. Not pick on you, but ask you. So do you have a smart plan in place for your buyers when they go under contract?
Yes, I have. Everybody in my database I have in command, I have them on a smart plan.
That's
so
amazing.
as I add somebody to my database, I put them on a smart plan, and I tell them I'm going to do that too. So
great. I love that. Okay, so now do you have one though? Now your buyer's under contract. Do you have a particular smart plan for buyer under contract?
No, I don't.
Yeah. So, and that's okay. That's another system. As you're getting busier, that's another system that you can put in place. I love that you have your database on smart plans, and good for you. And that's probably why you're getting the traction that you're getting. So that's great. But now you can put your buyer on a smart plan. Congratulations, you're under contract. Here's some important dates. And then, and if you look in the library, there's a bunch of them.
Is there? That's what I wasn't sure. So I go to the library and I can get that. And
yeah,
okay.
Let me just tell you, you need to time block a couple hours for the library because there's so much in it. But yes, you could probably search buyer smart plans and copy it and then go in and make it however you want. I'm very good at copying and implementing. I go in and I modify some things, but I can't start from scratch. That's not one of my gifts. So, but I am very good at implementing. But yes, so now if you put them on a smart plan as a buyer, now they're under contract, they're constantly hearing from you, because the one thing that I get complaints about the most is, well, we haven't heard from our agent in a long time. Well, there's systems, and that's because guess what, you're busy with another client and you get busy with another client, right? That those smart plans are the very things that help you keep in touch with your clients. And so they always feel like they're hearing from you. Some of it can be text, some of it can be email. There can be a call reminder in there for you. So I love that. And Karen, great job on implementing. So you are doing models and you have systems in place. If you're using smart plans, then you do have some systems in place, which is great. So that's good. So, and then the other thing was be accountable. So who are you accountable to? Are you having those fierce conversations of the language of real estate? How many appointments are you going on this week? What's your goal for appointments? How many calls did you make to get that appointment? What's your goals for the month? Do you want 2 under contract, 4 under contract, 2 listings, 2 buyers? These are the things that you need to be. We can only hold you accountable if you know your goals, right? So do you have those goals? Really think about that. Don't wing it. Right? If we're just getting business as it comes, that's winging it. Be purposeful. If I want to make $200,000, I'm going to be purposeful about that. I can't wing that because maybe last year I did great and this year I don't have a plan in place. Last year, I happen to know people that were buying and selling. This year, not so much. What am I going to do to make that same money? And that's the big challenge in real estate. You can have a really good year, and without systems and models, the next year you can have a really bad year. And once you get used to making this money and fueling your goals, you don't want to go backwards. And that is the very thing of having a 411 being held accountable and being purposeful is going to help you with. So that's why we talk about goals, to make sure that it's really in, that you understand what your goals are and what does that look like. So I'm going to give you a book if you haven't read it, the 12, and there's also a free a free training event, the 12-week year. It's called the 12-week year. I'll put it on behind the scenes. The workshop that they're doing for that, it's free, but it's a great book, and it chunks down your year by quarters. And I thought that was such an aha, that was great for me. And I've been using it this year, and it's helping me so much. So I understand goals, I understand yearly, and yet a lot of things, time goes so fast that you're like, oh my goodness, okay, I still have 9 months left. 3 months are gone now, but I still have 9, so I can do this. And then all of a sudden you get to the end of the year and you're like, okay, it's crunch time, and you are so stressed. Well, we shouldn't need to do that. If you really chunk things down quarterly, that can really help you. And again, another way of being purposeful. So am I on track for my quarterly goals right now? Because if not, then I need to adjust the next quarter's goals. If I didn't, and we had some snow and COVID. And so we did have some challenges, obviously, not going to deny that. Right. But if you're not on track, what will you do this next quarter to get yourself on track? And what numbers will you adjust? So say the first quarter you needed, does anybody have a number for me that they can tell me? I don't want to does somebody have a number that they said, hey, my first quarter, I want to do X amount. I want to sell X amount of houses, or does anybody have that?
Larry and I do. We try to shoot for 4.
Okay.
But we would like 4 closings a month. And that's, we have our buyers. We don't have listings, but we have lots of buyers, and we have really very strong buyers. Unfortunately, we don't have houses for them, but we would like 4 transactions a month. That's our number.
Okay, cool. So 4 a month. So at the end of this month, you should be at 12, right, for the quarter.
We should be.
Okay.
Yes, we should be.
So do you mind if I pick on you a little bit today? Not picking on.
Yes, I do. No, go ahead.
Okay, and Larry, you're on here, right? Did he jump off, or is he still on? So your goal was 12 for the quarter, and we still have a little bit of time left, so you might be able to get something under contract. We have this week, next week, and a couple of days after that, right? So what are you looking at to adjust that? So out of that 12, how many did you actually get, if you don't mind me?
It's signed buyers agreements. We
No,
have
things under contract, closings.
none.
You didn't have any closings since January?
We had one in January that was a transaction from 20.
Gotcha, from 20.
Yes.
Okay.
We have signed a lot of buyers agencies, and we have, they're all pre-approved, and we have over, probably close to $500,000 in buyers.
Well, that's awesome. So that's great. Okay.
And it is taking a lot of time. Buyers take a lot of time.
Yeah. And that's why I always talk about focus on listings, right? But buyers are where a lot of times where new agents start. That's where I started as well when I was a new agent. Okay. So now your next quarter, right? So by the halfway through the year, you need to have 24, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So is that, now here's the thing, guys. Is that doable, or do you think maybe you went a little high? They're your goals. Nobody can tell you anything different, but this is where I would say to you, if I was coaching you, okay, so how uncomfortable are you that you didn't reach your 12?
Yeah, we're pretty uncomfortable.
Okay. So what
2 people. So we thought that was a reasonable goal.
Okay. Since there's 2 of you. Okay. So what will you do? So is that still the goal? 12 for 2. So it's really 6 and 6, right?
Yes, until you say 24, and then it's like, wow,
So that's what happened.
Our postcards, we're sending flyers. We have a farm that we're working. We're hopeful, but
Good.
starting to get a little discouraged.
Okay, so don't get discouraged. I want you to pivot a little bit and start thinking about some listings too.
I know.
So buyers, now that becomes a natural thing. It's easy. Are we in the entrepreneurial stage with buyers, or are we being purposeful with our business?
With the buyers that we already have?
Yeah, it's kind of comfortable, right? Because you got them.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Okay,
yes.
so it's time to get a little uncomfortable and really try to go after some listings. And that just may be calling your database, your center of influence, your core advocates, and finding out who they know that is interested in selling their house. It may be going out and putting out door knockers. I just saw Mike McCann put something on Facebook yesterday. I can't think of his name. I know him. He's a very good agent, but he had his two sons out and they were door knocking and putting door knockers on the doors. So in designs, there are door knockers that you can create and have printed out if you'd like. There's companies that can do that for you, but maybe it's time. The weather's starting to get a little nice, I hope. It's time to get out there and get some door knockers out there. And that is going to create.
We just had a little situation that's kind of set me back a little bit. I got a lead from my husband, and with somebody at his fire company who was going to sell their house. I immediately wrote a nice letter telling what Larry and I could do for him and about the market in his neighborhood. And he went with another agent because he said he needed discrepancy. He didn't mention us. He just said to the agent that we know, because he's out of our office, he's a friend of ours. He chose him for discrepancy, or for discrepancy.
Yeah.
Saying it wrong. Anyway, discretion. I'm sorry, discretion.
Okay. Same thing.
I think what backfired here is I think I did all of the right things, but I think because he told my husband he wanted to move, my husband came home and told me, and then I sent the letter. I think it backfired because I think it looked like I would tell my husband something and then my husband will go and repeat it at the firehouse. It's not the case, but
I see what you're saying. And you know what? Sometimes you can't avoid those things. Those things will happen. And that's why it becomes a numbers game. There's just, you need more at-bats. Sometimes that will happen. I've had friends that, felt they didn't want me to know their financial situation. And even though I really am not going to, because the lender does all that, they felt, so I've had that in my career as well. And it's okay.
Well, it was somebody that has used my husband before to prepare his income tax. So it had nothing really to do with the two of them showing finances. I don't really know where it came from, but I kind of I thought I was doing all the right things.
Yeah.
Didn't.
I think you did, actually. I would have to say, I think you did. I think you did do the right thing. Sometimes the outcome's not always what we're looking for, but I would have done the exact same thing. So you're being proactive, and some will, some won't. Well, next, right? That's the numbers game. It is a numbers game. We're women. Sorry, John and Larry. We're women. We're emotional, but it really is. And I've learned not to be so emotional. It's a numbers game. Business is numbers, and when you learn to love the language of numbers, it will really help you. And because you're going to think about that and think about that, and it's going to bother you. Let it go. Move on. Next. That's how it's got to be.
Right. No, that's Larry. He's good at it. I'm not. I'm an overthinker.
Well, he's the man, right? See, I know. But anyway, so okay, what are some of you doing to move from, now that you know entrepreneurial is what's easy and what's comfortable? What are some of the things that you'll think about doing to become purposeful?
Like expanding out of my comfort zone. So going elsewhere other than like my farm, my personal sphere, because eventually I've talked to some people at Keller Williams that have hit that wall and eventually that runs out. So you want to be purposeful and intentional and reaching out to people that you don't necessarily talk to all the time.
Absolutely. That's great, John. I love that. So if you commit to that, that's going to make a huge difference for you. Good. Who else? Going from E to P. Anita.
For me to be purposeful, I need to stick to the schedule. And
yay, music to my ears.
I'm easily distracted. My daughter just asked me where the Tide stick is. I have to mute myself and answer because I still play that role. She's an adult, but I still play that role to everybody. So it's very hard for me to. So Anne-Marie, what I have in front of me here, wait, I'm going to cover my little doodles because I doodle all the time. This piece of paper is something I made a year ago when you taught a class in the office because I didn't understand how to make this a full-time job. What do I do for 8 hours? So I had written down 8 different things that you had mentioned, and then I created a schedule. Well, the schedule got off track because with COVID, I'm not getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning anymore. And I realized that my real estate business doesn't really operate at that time anyway. If I'm going to follow the people that aren't getting home from work till 4 and 5 o'clock, I needed to shift. So I shifted all that. But with the buyers that we have, Larry really does not like to do the showings, and I enjoy them very much. So I sit down to my schedule and then somebody calls. Somebody's already called today. So this afternoon, I'm going to change into my realtor clothes and run out and show a house. Once I get distracted, very hard to get focused again. I might come back and do real estate, But I might not do lead generation again, you
Yep.
know.
And
I
there, that's the problem. So the one thing, the book, The One Thing, it's a great book and it will really help you with that. It talks about how when we get distracted, it takes us so long to get back to the task at hand, if we even get back to it, right? But that's where you have to have a voicemail on it. Say, hey, I'm in a meeting right now, or I am, whatever it is, and I will call you back as soon as, so whatever your lead gen time is over, they'll know that you're going to call them back, because that's exactly what happened. If you get that email that, is disturbing because somebody that wants out of a deal, or, somebody wants your time immediately, you've got to set your standards for your business, or you'll let everybody else set them for you, right? So that's where, if you're committed to 1 hour, you should be able to put on your voicemail, hey, I'm lead generating right now between the hours of 10 and 11 or 9 and 10 or whatever that may be. And as soon as that's over, I'll be returning all my calls at 11 o'clock. And just make sure that you do that. It's okay, because now they know that you are doing something. And so they might say to you, well, what's lead generating? Say, well, just like yourself, I'm looking for houses for you today. If it's one of your buyers, I say, well, what I'm doing is I am looking for houses for you so that I have some good opportunities. They're not going to fault you for that.
No, it's just the house just went, the showings just started today and somebody's already called and I didn't want to not do it. I wanted to do it.
I know. But what if you were out, what if you were indisposed for 1 hour? I don't know where you were. You went to the doctor's, you were at the doctor's for an hour. You couldn't help that person till an hour later. You're still going to help them, but if you're sitting at the doctor's table, you're not going to pick up the phone and make that appointment for that age, right? So you have to look at it that way. And that's the uncomfortable part. Comfortable is, I want to service people right away. I want to pick up the phone. I want to answer them. That's comfortable. Uncomfortable is, I got to stick to my schedule. Oh my gosh, my phone's ringing. Turn it off if you have to. Don't have your emails on while you're doing your, well, I guess you have to have your phone on if you're making calls, right? But you got to train yourself to say, for 1 hour, it's going to be okay. There's nothing that's going to be devastating in 1 hour that you can't make happen, But tell them, shoot you a text. Just say, hey, shoot me a text. And then you could just have an automatic text, got it. And then you'll call them as soon as you're done your lead gen. Because guess what? You probably won't get back to lead gen. That's the number one thing, that you usually don't get back to it because everything else gets in the way. And the lead gen is really the most important thing. And I don't mean just phone calls. I mean all different kinds of lead gen. We talked about that before. So it's very difficult, Anita. It is very difficult because I had to turn off. I take the One Thing course. So I pay, I think it's $30 a month. And I went kicking and screaming in the beginning, but I can't wake up and read my emails. Because that's the first thing. What do you do when you wake up? Oh, emails, and then let me check Facebook. That really matters in my life, right? They've trained me, do not do that, because that can set the whole tone for your day. You can see something on Facebook that's going to annoy you, or you get that email that's going to set the tone for the day that you really didn't want. So I come in and do my lead generating before I even look at my emails. Now I do go on Facebook if it's something to do for the behind the scenes that I have to post, but I don't read anybody's stuff. I'm like, I can't read, I'm only posting. And then later in the day, I set time for that. But I had to stop doing all that to make my lead generating purposeful. And, I do the same thing as you guys do. I'm just calling agents instead of listings. And it's a good hour to 2 hours. Some days I do it for 2 hours, but every day. And it was very challenging for me not to look at my email and not to do Facebook, because I was in the habit of doing that. Now I have it time blocked where I do check my Facebook and my emails, and I get back to people. So that's part of my day. So yeah, all I can say, Anita, is make the commitment to lead gen and figure out how that's going to work for you. Make that commitment. And then sometimes,
I use my Facebook to figure out who I'm going to send note cards to.
Yeah.
And I put the notes in my phone so that when I do get around to doing the note cards during the day, I have it already listed.
That's good. So
I go scan Facebook in the morning. First thing.
A purpose. Okay. Who else is what's another thing you're going to do from entrepreneurial, the things that are comfortable, and go to purposeful, maybe doing some things that aren't so comfortable? And yes, Peggy, I know COVID was good to you. Thank goodness. She had a good year. Peggy had a very good year, so that's good. Anybody else? Amber, do you have something that you've thought about now that you'll go from entrepreneurial to purposeful? She might be, maybe she's looking at her business out. Did I get everybody else? Karen?
I can do it.
Okay, hi. No, go ahead, Amber.
Go ahead. Oh, I mean, lead gen, just time blocking lead gen around my lovely children has just always been a challenge. And I can't wait for June 4th. That's our last day of school, and I hope to crush it.
Oh, I think you will. So there can be things that you can think about doing. So Saturday and Sunday, the kids don't go to school, right? So maybe you can say, all right, not ideal, but I'm gonna lead gen Saturday morning for 2 hours. You know, hey,
In this house, Anne-Marie, we do school every single day.
oh, you're kidding. Oh my God.
I'm not kidding. It's horrible. It's been a rough year.
Yeah, I'm sure it has been. But I do see some of your things on, continue with your social media, if you can do that. But yeah, so okay, just practice the plan. Work on the plan and work on some systems then for now.
Yeah.
If you can do that, I think that will be great. And I think you're doing a great job. And I admire all the moms that are home with children. If this happened when my kids were little, I have no idea what I would have done. Those girls drive me crazy. So if I had to teach them, oh, I don't even know. Lordy. But so God bless you.
Lots of coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I just want to, let me just get back to my one, if I can find it now. Here's my thing. All right, so when in the 5 steps that we talked about, I just want to go over a few things. So focus, write your goals and make sure you're focused on those goals, right? And focus on, one of you mentioned the 20%, that's really important. And how do you know what your 20% is? Well, is this going to make me money? Doing flyers, brochures, websites, none of that's going to make you money. Making appointments is going to make you money because we have an opportunity to get contracts. So appointments is going to make you money. How do we get appointments? We lead gen, right? So that's what I want you to think about, that top 20%. Find strategic options. Ask, how can this be done? So, Anita, you're thinking, you get sidetracked. Okay, how can I do something that's not going to be, how do I not get sidetracked? So really think about things that are interrupting your day and how you can make that different if you can. And then identify, are there different and better ways to do this? So if you're doing something and you feel like you are getting interrupted a lot, or things aren't working for you the way you want, take a look at your schedule and say, maybe there is a better way that I can do this. Maybe your schedule's not working for you. You don't have to follow the exact schedule that I would say, if I'm teaching. Make it your schedule, but then commit to following it. Does that make sense? So Anita, maybe lead gen in the afternoon. If you're busier in the morning with your buyers, lead gen in the afternoon, time block it and commit to it. The commit is the hardest part, right, guys? Committing. But make it yours. Is there a better way I can do this for me? And look at that and then change it and commit to it. And find models to follow. Attend training that teaches you how to get where you want to go, which you guys are, I'm preaching to the choir here because you're on this and I see you on a lot of training. And then identify mentors and people who have done it. So one of the challenges with COVID is you're not in the office and you're not surrounded by agents that are succeeding at a high level. But if you see them on Facebook or behind the scenes, any of our top agents, if you ask them, hey, can I have 15 minutes to pick your brain? They would absolutely say yes. And they would absolutely love sharing with you what they do. And I highly suggest you do that because they're doing things at a high level and they were all brand new. This didn't come easy or natural to any one of us. We just stuck to it and we were committed. And that's the biggest thing. And I have to say, every top agent in here, that's the word I would use for them too. They were committed. I saw them fail forward. Pat Gilday was a brand new agent here. Barb knows. I saw Pat fail forward, but she did not give up. Jason Gizzy came to us. He wasn't a big agent. He was small potatoes. He came here and embraced the models and he did not give up. He's still reinventing himself. So, he doesn't give up. My daughters, they have it the hardest because I pick on them all the time, but I keep saying to them, what are you doing? What are you doing? But they don't give up. They're not going to give up. They just don't have that mentality to give up. They're committed. And that's what you really need to be able to be successful. But ask any of them, and they'll be glad to share that with you. And then your systems, you have to time block to get those systems in place, create checklists. So now that you've gotten so many buyers, Karen and even Anita, when those buyers go under contract, what is your checklist for that? It should be the same for every one of them, because I can only tell you, especially watching my girls, it's like they're like a well-oiled machine. When a buyer goes under contract, this is what happens. And every single one of them happens the same way, whether it is a $30,000 investment property or $1 million, luxury property. They do the same thing for every single person. And it's a checklist and it makes it very simple.
I actually use Megan's.
Huh?
I actually use Megan's checklist.
Good.
gave
Oh,
it-
awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, so that's what I
Awesome.
use.
And then test the systems to make sure they work, right? And in time, we, like COVID, we all had to pivot. So maybe you might have had to adjust some of your checklists because of COVID, but make sure you just do that as time goes on. And then bring in accountability, keep track with your 411. If I were you, I send my OP did not ask me to send him my 411. I send it to my ALC every week and I send it to my OP. He doesn't ask me. I send it to him because I want him to look at it and hold me accountable, right? So if I were you, I'd be sending my 411 to my coach every single Sunday and say, here you go. So that coach can check in and say, great, I see you wanted to make 4 appointments this week. Where are you? Monday was the 15th. So with my staff, I have a meeting and I say, okay, what's our gap? Where are we? It's the 15th of the month. What were our goals? Where are we? And what do we have to do the next 15 days? So, that's the great conversations you can have with your coach. And then measure what you do. If I'm contacting 10 people a day, meaning having a conversation with 10 people a day, that's 50 a week. How many appointments am I getting out of that? Because in the beginning, we may not be as skilled as we will be as we practice and do it. It might take 100 calls to get the number that you need. It might take 25 calls to get the number that you need, but we'll never know that unless we track it. And then have an accountability partner. Well, you guys have a great coach. You have Marcia, you have Barb to hold you accountable. Make sure that you're using that. That is one of the tools here at Keller Williams that you have is accountability partners. And if you want, have them with each other. I heard Bob Mariotti was in, and I think it was you, Peggy, he was talking about. He was on the last night's script call, I guess it was.
The script call, so he was on the script calls are Wednesday, but they did something for the Power Hour. They've been doing Power Hour together.
And was it you, Peggy, that he was talking about? Because he said Peggy.
She's muted again, but I happen to know it was because Bob called me. So
anyway, he came in today and was so excited and told us all the story about how everybody on Power Hour encouraged him to make the calls and what to say, and he did. And here the person invited him over, and then they gave him a neighbor's number that was a neighbor's address that was going to think about for sale by owner as well. He knocked on their door, they invited him in. So he was extremely excited, and yet he was so nervous and uncomfortable knocking on the door, but he was purposeful about it. And he said the conversations that came out of that were great. So he's here today lead generating in the bullpen.
awesome.
So it was very exciting for him. So that's great. That's the kind of stuff by having accountability. And that's what he said on the call, that you were holding each other accountable. So I love that. And I think that's really a key, and I have to be held accountable because I'm lazy. I'll be like, let me do this instead. I'll go right into Entrepreneurial. You know what I'm good at? I love looking at the calendar. I love putting great classes on the calendar. Well, that's not hiring agents for the office, is it? But I'm comfortable with that. So I have to send my 411 out. I make people hold me accountable. So you guys can do that as well. But that's the biggest thing that I wanted to share with you. So I hope this was helpful. If you can give me a couple ahas and then I'll jump off. But what were some of your ahas, guys? And thank you so much for participating. You all participated today, so great.
I think the perfect thing for me is when it's convenient. That was like a perfect, so if it's convenient, you're not really being purposeful, you're just, so I like that.
Correct. Good. Thanks, Karen. That's a big aha. Okay. How about you, John? An aha?
I think my aha was just to stay committed, because you can make, even like you were just talking about with Rob, like you can make 50, 100 calls, and if you get no response, you might get a little discouraged, like Anita was saying. But then once you hit 100, 101, and if you get 2 or 3 different answers or referrals from that, then you get like an eye-opening moment that tells you like, I can do this. But if you stop at 75, you're never going to get there.
Right. The tipping point. That's another great, Malcolm Gladwin, I think it is. That's another great book, by the way. That's exactly what you're talking about. Yes. And when I was first starting in real estate, they said, you know, you're going to get 100 no's before you get a yes. So I actually would be like, oh, great. No. Okay, good. Getting there. And I would just do my little hash mark. And I didn't know any different. So I thought, woo, I'm getting to 99 no's. This is awesome, you know? But it worked. And I kept going. Because I was challenged. I wanted to get to that 100 no's. I wanted to get there so that I would finally get my yes. So that's great. That's a great aha. Anita, how about you?
The 20%. It just has to constantly be a reminder to me that all these other things that I do, just because I'm doing things for 8 hours, does not bring me in money. You know, it feels like you're working, so you should be getting a paycheck for it.
Absolutely.
But, you know,
Dollar
that's what-
producing. So practice and work on dollar producing. That's what you want to, is this dollar producing? I think that's great. And if you need help with that, Anita, let me know. Because, you know, that's one of my things that I failed forward many times with my calendar. And I feel like I'm pretty good with that now. So if you ever want to just do a little one-on-one, let me know. Okay.
Thank you.
Peggy, I don't know if you can talk yet or not, but did you have any ahas today?
I did. I liked how Anita had the same problem I did, and she just kept on going through with everything, and I think that was great. And the script practices on Wednesday nights are excellent for everybody if they can get on. So these are great. And I'm very proud of Karen. She's doing good.
I know.
Thanks, Peggy. And Peggy, you're always so encouraging. I really appreciate it. You really are so sweet.
We're one big happy family, right, Anne-Marie?
Yep, that's right.
Peggy, you're great. Amber, how about you? Do you have an aha? She's probably on school. That's okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody. If you need any more information about this, it is under the 6 personal perspectives. E to P is just one of them. I highly recommend. We probably need to teach this class. We haven't taught it in a while, but it is a great class. And you know, we can pick it apart and do a little session on it each week if you want, or we can do the whole class. But it's in KW Connect. If you're not familiar with that, under the university, there's a lot of classes under there, and you can see the PowerPoints, and they refer you to videos as well. So thank you so much today. I look forward to seeing all your successes. And if you need any help, I'm just right here in the office.
Emery,
Thanks,
thanks so much
Emery.
for coming on. Really, really appreciate. You know, these guys get tired of hearing me, so I'd love to. Yeah.
Thank you.
I love it. I miss everybody.
Emery, so
Thank you.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great day. No,
Thank you.